Good evening, boys and ghouls. On this, the beginning of Spoopy Month, I would like to share a tale with you of the death of Edgar Allen Poe. But first, I need some actual lights.
I will not be maintaining that voice for this entire video, as it hurts my throat. However, the story of the death of Edgar Allan Poe. I'm going to immediately disappoint you. We don't know how he died. We know he died in a Baltimore hospital on October 7th of 1849. What we don't know is what caused his death. He was found in clothes that were not familiar to anyone who he knew, as in he either bought these clothes without their knowledge or somehow his clothes had fallen into the state. He was found in rags, basically. I should start with that. He was found in strange clothes that he did not own. He'd been seen earlier in the day in other strange clothes that he also was not known for owning. However, before I go into that, as medical science was what it was in 1849, I have a list here of either thought of around the time of his death or thought of as possibilities afterwards, possible causes for the death of Edgar Allan Poe. Brain tumor, diabetes, enzyme deficiency, apoplexy, epilepsy, meningitis, womeningitis, heart disease, lead poisoning, mercury poisoning, alcohol withdrawal, cholera, opium/laudanum overdose, and rabies. Whew! And I only made one of those up. The one I made up, of course, being alcohol poisoning. Cheers. So, going with the alcohol poisoning/alcohol withdrawal, depending on which way you see it, possibility, that is one of the older theories. However, then in the 1870s, an addition was added. The addition was that Edgar Allan Poe possibly partook in election fraud. Now, listen. I know what you're probably saying. Election fraud is incredibly difficult. No, it's not. No. Not in the 19th century, no. So, the type of election fraud he possibly, once again, tons of different possibilities of his death, but I did mention the two sets of clothes that factors into this. The type of election fraud that Edgar Allan Poe possibly partook in was known as cooping. Now, how this worked is you would have a political party that would get people on the street during an election, which on the 3rd, there was an election being held for the U.S. Senate. Maryland senator was being elected that day, where you would go out onto the street, you'd grab a guy, buy him some whiskey, and tell him to vote for your guy. After he did that, you'd have him change his clothes and vote for your guy. You'd then have him change his clothes and vote for your guy, each time plying him with liquor. This was shown in the movie Gangs of New York, which I've never seen the full thing, but I've seen clips of. It shows cooping happening in that time being done by Tammany Hall politicians, which political gangs, that was the real gang of New York, was Tammany Hall. But getting back on topic, that's one of the main theories. However, more recently it's come into dispute, but the other theories for Poe's erratic behavior don't account for the change of clothes. Now, I am in no way saying definitively that Poe ever even partook in that election that was being held. However, that is the cause of death for Edgar Allan Poe that I heard from my 11th grade English teacher. And as I've done research, I've found nothing conclusively against it. It is listed as a theory a bunch of places. So I am relaying a theory. This is not definitive. I'm relaying a theory of a possibility for what killed Edgar Allan Poe. I'm quite sorry that this wasn't on Mr. Buck. But I assure you, the very next video will be part 1 of his tale. Stay tuned.